Good morning, everyone. I'm absolutely delighted to be part of ETHR World. These are crazy times, unprecedented, and I think enough has been said about how the world will never be the same again. Well, one of the things that actually has got most impacted is the challenges that the leaders of today are facing, right? I think the leaders are facing possibly the toughest times ever. And I think it is also important at this time for organizations to start accelerating their leadership development programs. These are uncertain times, but then, well, it's not that organizations had not started preparing for the disruption that is being caused by digital, right? We've had a complete shift in the kind of competencies that leaders require from the traditional, where the leader was the hero, to now where we've got a hero team. So organizations that I know of have already started making that transitions over the past couple of years. More importantly, going digital is no longer an option, right? It's a necessity. And we look about how this is actually getting further impacted by the current times that we are facing. Of course, data analytics, design thinking, agile, artificial intelligence, all of these are part and parcel of this shift to digital competencies for leaders. Having said that, well, the stakes are high for organizations, right? And research shows that organizations that have the most strong digital leadership capabilities outperform those with the weakest capabilities by 50%. And yet, strangely, only 2 in 5 organizations are developing leaders in a way that the business requires for tomorrow. Well, here we are with this pandemic. We are actually facing a situation where this future has got accelerated. The pandemic in itself is acting as an accelerant for change. When we look at the impact of this pandemic, it's not only about how business models are getting impacted, it's also about how there are certain aspects, especially virtual working, virtual leadership, virtual team, all of that, which was something which organizations were preparing for in the past. Now it's here and now. There is no option at all but to really go for it. Having said that, while these are uncertain times, it's also an opportunity for leaders to make that next leap and organizations to make that next leap. Now, if you look at the challenges that are being faced by leaders today, I feel these are the 4 challenges that are absolutely there at the forefront. The first is the continuous uncertainty in the business environment. Business models are changing. There are disruptions in supply chains, disruptions there is a complete change in the consumer behavior and demand that is anticipated from here on, because of which companies will have to look at or relook at their go-to-market strategies as well as how their supply chains operate. For that matter, everything that has got to do with the entire chain of operations as far as your business is concerned. The other aspect is that while adopting to new business models and change was something which one had started off on and the journey had already started, it now needs to actually acquire warp speed, as I would say. The other aspect which is becoming very important is the ability of leaders to engage with people, especially new social distancing norms, the new work from home scenarios. How do you actually engage with your people and maintain their productivity at the levels, and of course the morale at the level that is desired? Of course, this also means that there is greater reliance more than ever on digital tools and technology. Now let's look at what are the imperatives for leaders today to be successful. The first and foremost is, of course, clarity of purpose. The leader needs to display and demonstrate clarity of purpose in terms of the vision of the business, the vision of the organization, and communicate that to their teams. Of course, when we are talking about teams here and leaders here, leaders today are everywhere in the organization, and more so now, we need to have and inculcate those leadership traits and skills amongst everyone in the organization. So clarity of purpose is the first one. The second is, of course, as I keep saying always, is communication, communication, communication. Even if we have an overdose of communication, but keep communicating constantly. The third reality, and I would say that that's when we look at the situation today, is because it is unprecedented, there is very little data that you can depend on. So hence, the readiness of leaders to make decisions despite insufficient data is crucial. Leaders need to now learn to live with the maybe, right? The uncertainty is something which is going to last, and what we are hearing is at least for the next couple of years. So the maybe part of the business and decision making is going to remain the reality and possibly the norm. And yet, leaders will need to drive towards acquiring actionable intelligence to help make decisions. When we talk about people, I think more than ever, aspects such as empathy, compassion, care, collaboration are at the forefront when it comes to leading people and managing people. And of course, while it is said that necessity is the mother of invention, I would say, well, innovate or perish. Let's look at what are the leadership skills, right? So that are required for leaders today. While there are several analysts and gurus who have actually talked about the leadership skills for tomorrow, let's look at what are leadership skills for now. Because of the pandemic, there are certain skills which have absolutely come to the forefront and cannot be ignored at all. And these are a must-have for today's leaders. Starting with, of course, the first one being leading through disruption. We talked about clarity of purpose. It's also about facing disruption as an opportunity, leading and guiding people through change. The next one is, of course, agility, being an agile leader and yet building the perseverance and resilience that is required not only in self, but also in the teams and in business. When you look at developing people and also managing people, motivational leadership and also managing virtual teams and developing special skills, the required skills of your people is something which is the next imperative and skills that are required. When it comes to innovation, leaders need to innovate for business survival. There are two ways about it. At the same time, they need to create and foster an innovation culture. And last but not the least, when we talk about digital leadership, the leader himself or themselves need to be digital savvy. And hence, it's all about understanding how digital tools, technologies would help them perform better and actually get their business to perform better. It's also about fostering development of a digital DNA in the organization. Transformation of business models today is being accelerated by digital, and the best way to actually leverage digital is to look at how you leverage it to transform your business models. Now, having said all of that, how do you actually look at accelerating your leadership programs? I would want to leave you with 3 key ingredients that you need to look at when you are designing or relooking at your current leadership programs. Is the content that you're using most engaging? Is it based on research? Is it proven that that's the best content that actually has the best impact on the modern learner? The second aspect, when you're looking at accelerating your leadership development, is to have sequenced journeys. These are curated journeys which would help you actually deploy fast and for your leaders to acquire skills faster. The third ingredient that I would recommend is to look for strategic collaborations for best of breed expertise when it comes to digital leadership development. There are aspects of today's leadership development when you look at the digital impact, which are very different, as we saw earlier, as compared to the traditional modes and skills that we have seen in the past. In the end, I would want to quote Robin Sharma here, where he says, to the victim, adversity is bad. To the leader and warrior, hard times are life's richest times of growth, opportunity, and possibility. Use them to fly and soar high. Thank you.